Good morning, this is Mission Control Houston. Welcome and thank you for joining us for today's edition of Space Station Live this Tuesday, June 11th. Topping today's news for the International Space Station and the Expedition 36 crew, a Russian cargo vehicle safely and successfully undocked from the orbiting complex this morning. Physical separation was confirmed at 8:58 a.m. Central Time as the two vehicles flew at an altitude of about 258 statute miles as it passed over southeast Russia. The Progress 51 spacecraft had delivered roughly 3 tons of supplies, including food, water, and oxygen for the crew, as well as equipment for conducting scientific research back in April. The cargo ship had launched from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan back on April 24th and docked to the station 2 days later on a standard 2-day rendezvous. Shortly after liftoff, however, the cargo ship had failed to deploy an antenna that is used for navigation. Despite deployment of the Kurs antenna, Progress 51 achieved a successful docking to the International Space Station on the 26th of April. The cargo craft will now park at a safe distance away from the space station for a few days for engineering tests to calibrate Russian radar systems on the ground. It'll then deorbit for destructive re-entry over the Pacific Ocean on June 19th. Meanwhile, the automated transfer vehicle, the Albert Einstein, which launched last week, continues to phase toward the station today with 2 burns of thrusters planned to mimic collision avoidance maneuvers that would be conducted in the unlikely event that the Albert Einstein would have to abort the station during its final approach for docking. The link up of the Albert Einstein to the aft port of the Zvezda service module, which was cleared with the undocking of the Progress today, is scheduled to take place on Saturday at 8:46 a.m. Central Time. Before this morning's successful undocking, the space station crew members had began their day with some time this morning for work prep, breakfast, morning hygiene, and a daily station inspection. Flight engineers Musurkin and Parmitano spent some time this morning in the second round of an onboard training for the approach and docking of the ATV-4 cargo craft that is to arrive on Saturday. They will be inside the Zvezda on Saturday morning when the Albert Einstein systems and the rendezvous and navigational equipment will be used during the ship's final approach. Flight engineers Musurkin and Yurchikin had their sights trained on their June 24th spacewalk just outside the Pirs docking compartment. They are continuing preparations today that include the setup of equipment inside the Pirs airlock. Flight engineer Chris Cassidy continued yesterday's work with the fluids integrated rack today. He and flight engineer Karen Nyberg worked together to prepare samples for a test run within the fluids integrated rack, which is a complementary fluid physics research facility. Cassidy also performed some follow-up work with the Spheres activity that was conducted a couple weeks ago. Cassidy also will work inside the microgravity science glove box to gather and stow away the BASS experiment hardware. BASS is known as the burning and suppression of solids. Studies the characteristics of a wide variety of fuel samples in microgravity. Research results may aid in the design of fire detection and suppression systems in microgravity and on Earth. Also today, Cassidy and flight engineers Karen Nyberg and Luca Parmitano will be participating in a periodic countermeasure fitness evaluation. This is conducted once a month during their stay aboard their long-duration mission. They work today with the onboard SLAM-D equipment that is enables each crew member to take his or her own body mass measurements. Nyberg also will participate in an on-orbit hearing assessment today. This is Mission Control Houston.